West champion, they trying to feel the ambience. Never seen nothing quite like the aliens. I'm a call the alliance, you call the ambulance. Before they even show up, your soul will start vanishing. Lost a lot through gambling with the odds, I'm addicted. You wanna take a look through my eyes, got you twisted. I'm sick and vicious, make a bloody Christmas. I love where I'm from, but I ain't riding through the trenches. A lot of stupid bitches like to make a lot of shit up. I hate to be the one to tell you, gang, you gotta give up. Writing on the wall like I ain't got no home training. Throw my name into your mouth, I'm spraying red, no paying. No waiting for my mans to show up, cause I'ma handle mine. Shit about to blow any second, like I stand on mine. Spin your body round 100 times before I let you breathe. Lock the door, shut the lights, I can't let you leave.
Hey, yo, Element, what's good, God?
Fucking maze out here.
These fucking streets got a nigga going crazy, It's like a house of screams, done. Yeah. Hey, yo, I'm way much chiller than most. I ain't frontin' at all. I'm flirting with maintaining and broke. But who you know that's iller with words? Yeah, clearly disturbed. That really actually dealt with some coke. Elmhurst where they murdering folk. 15 years later and I'm still here serving you dope. Only now it's informers of mean bars. It's cream, but some are more chasing that green card. It's Queen's Guard. Better learn how to think fast. These bitch ass niggas that's off to some bitch ass. Assault them, throw salt in their wounds. It's deeper than watching loved ones cook boy in the spoon. This for young boys locked in a room. Group homes, no visits, turn vicious, feel alive in the tomb. Young guys watch most of them coons. Yeah, they lying they zooms. A loot of life they ain't never consumed. For my niggas gonna light it up. I provide a feeling one can only get while being cuffed on the Rikers bus. Whole killers say they side with us. We keep a bag of iron sticks like we play for the Riders Cup. Queens and Philly once again, what can fuck with us? Queens and Philly once again, what can fuck with us? I'm trying to tell them, done.
All right, we're live. We are live.
Whoa.
Hey, yo! Hey, yo! Hey, yo! Welcome to the show. I don't even know. I don't even know what the hey yo was about, but I'm glad it didn't go live on the internet.
Right.
Anyhow, welcome to the show, the Fly Degenerates show. We are back with another live show once again. Testing out the logisticals real quick, readjusting the adjustments. But we're gonna get
make sure the computers are puting.
Make sure exactly. Right, make sure the computers are puting and the refuters are refuting. And we're back talking some football. It is first day of March Madness. But,
I got questions.
We're not getting into too much college basketball. This is not a college basketball show.
I have
but
questions.
I don't know. According to what I was hearing before we went live, I don't even know if this is a football show anymore.
Oh,
I don't know what happened. We had we had two experts, and I don't know what's going on here.
The scouts are delayed. The scouts
ain't scouting.
They boycotting. They boycotting.
Our teams beat the football out of us.
Wow,
right.
The boycotts are on. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe we can get them back. Maybe we can get some re-engagement,
right.
recommit.
Right.
My hot take. I'll start out with my hot take. My hot draft take. It's not based on. It's based on very little research.
Nice.
That's the best type.
Right.
I don't even know if it's. I don't think it's a hot take, but I think it's a hot take based off of the rankings. And my hot take is Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the draft. I don't really think it should be a hot take, but I think it is.
Yeah. I like that.
I don't know where. I'm not going to go out and say one is going to be better than the other, because until I know where they're going, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. I like this discussion a lot.
If it was me, I would take Shedeur.
Right. I like this talk a lot. Because it's like, when I say it to myself, it's like, okay, he does the things that most college kids come into the NFL to learn. He does it well at the already. You feel me? Like the staying in the pocket. Like most young quarterbacks, they're learning that in the NFL where he's staying in the pocket even when the shit is collapsing and he's making the throws downfield. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit to me is like, okay, that could be, he's gonna be ahead of the curve. That's what you want. But then there's the lack of like arm strength to me right now. Right now, I'm gonna dive. I haven't dove deep in, and so now it's like, who do you want? You want the prospect with that shows you the arm strength that it works, the athleticism that you can, move him and do things, but he's not gonna do what Sanders does, which is what I want. What I'm gonna have to teach him, and then with Sanders, it's almost like you you probably don't have to teach him that. You could just focus on the mechanics. You know what I mean? But does he have that arm strength to that's how I'm looking at it right now from this um from where I'm at right now with my studies.
Um, I don't know. That's not crazy, like because I wonder to a certain degree if some of the stuff that Shador Sanders doesn't show, like in terms of athleticism, just
Yeah.
is maybe just because it was programmed into him, just the way
Mhm.
maybe the way that Deion Sanders, raised him to be a quarterback. Maybe he didn't want him to play a certain way just because he knows the way that, especially when he grew up in the game, maybe that
Right.
was the way that certain things was like a no-no if you were a black quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm starting to wonder like maybe it's some of the things it's like it's not that it's not there, it's just maybe that he's been always programmed not to use some
Yeah,
of it.
exactly. He was programmed
But
to be good at what most kids coming out of college aren't. He was programmed to be that already from the jump. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah, you kind of made me, you kind of like opened that thought process in my head real quick. Like, just because, like you said, that tough, you can't teach toughness in terms of like,
Mhm.
staying in the pocket and holding onto the ball. I know sometimes it could be spun into a negative, but like I remember earlier in the season, some of the comps with Shador Sanders were more to Joe Burrow actually, because it was like is it is that it's his fault, but at the same time it's good depending on what lens you want to look at it at through. It's like, okay, is he gonna hold the ball until something that means he knows certain reads and all this stuff, or is it like, oh, he holds onto the ball too long? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that's some of the stuff that you need to parse through and kind of like do the deep dive just to see
right.
what exactly is going on. Because like I said earlier in the season, if one of the comparisons that you're getting is Joe Burrow, how did
Yeah,
that in the time turn into a knock on him? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just I'm just going through it, and like it just opened up like that thought, like
hmm,
where you were saying about
yeah. I
the
agree with
stuff
that.
that you have to be taught, like and you would think that somebody that grew up that way, and you
Hmm.
know how they always knock about cockiness and like he's
Right,
grew up with money and all the arrogance and all that. It's like,
right.
yeah, that usually would be a knock when you think that a kid isn't tough. Like I remember even when Miles Garrett was coming out, like one of the knocks on him was like he has interest outside of football. Does he really love the
I do
game?
remember
Is he
that.
going
Yeah,
to?
yeah,
And clearly we see, yeah, like clearly we see that it's like people like to ask the question out loud without actually trying to find out an answer, just to put that
hmm,
out there just in case. You
right.
know what I'm saying? So like I don't know, maybe that is something that it's interesting, like just thinking about it. Like maybe that's just maybe he's consciously trying not to be the running quarterback,
Right.
son of Deion Sanders,
Yeah,
that's what he does. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I don't know, but I do like I will say it's not crazy because at the end of the day, anybody could pretend to know anything, and in a year, 2 years, um, Shador Sanders very well could be the best quarterback out of the two, and like all the stuff that all this stuff looks ridiculous that they were talking about like leading up to the draft, but I don't know. I just like the way Cam Ward conducts himself. He just feels like he's always grinding, and he's always motivated in terms of like just to prove people wrong because of
Right,
where he came from.
right. Right.
You brought up Joe Burrow, and I'm curious because you said something in the chat about the contracts. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase both getting paid, and
great transition.
I guess the you didn't know about that?
Yeah, that Burrow was the one that influenced those things.
Yeah. No, my bad. I thought you said something. No. So I forget what the tweet was or what the comment was, but it was something like that there's increased pressure, and I thought that was a legitimate statement, and it seemed like you disagreed.
Me?
Was I misreading that?
Right?
Oh,
yeah.
No.
I'm looking at it from the lens of the team didn't get better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not like they signed, like for
That has
example, if
nothing
they
to do
didn't.
with anything.
No, I understand. I'm saying the pressure obviously is there regardless. I'm just thinking like the pressure. I don't know if the pressure changed, because it's still like he's still considered even when he didn't make the playoffs, it was like, oh, he's still top three quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's not like people kind of like were like, oh, he needs to show us something, like, a la like Josh Allen, where he needs to keep getting better. It's almost like he's already at that like Joe Burrow is considered already at that level.
Okay, but I feel like you missed the point of the comment, because the comment was he's pushed the Bengals into uncharted financial territory.
Mm-hmm. That's
the
crazy.
pressure increases because of that. You disagree with that?
Well, no, my overall point was it goes like clearly
Why do you disagree with that? That you disagree with that? There's increased pressure on him.
I mean, no, I don't. I don't disagree that there is pressure on him, more pressure on him. I'm saying I disagree with the premise of
on him.
Adding. Okay, yeah. My point isn't. I'm not saying that there isn't pressure, isn't more pressure. My point was like, why is there more pressure on him?
It's obvious.
You know what I'm saying? Like the team didn't. Yeah, I know. Like, but I'm saying like the team didn't change, and everything that needs to change about the team is the parts that he didn't. He didn't necessarily.
Everything that needs to be changed about the team is things that can't be changed about the team because of the financial territory that he pushed them into. That's the whole point of why there's increased pressure on him to perform.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going. I think some of it has to do with just the team is pretty much any team would have done the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, it's like it's amplified just because.
Wait, hold on. Whoa. I don't know that I agree with that. What do you mean pretty much any team would have done the same thing?
In terms of like, like let's say
having two of the highest paid wide receivers on the which team? I don't see any teams operating that way financially as far as roster construction.
I mean,
I think that was why it was so surprising, because of the fact that nobody expected them to financially keep both, right, and to extend themselves financially that way.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like it's more so a product of it being that team, because like if you look at the Eagles and I guess you could, to a certain extent, you could look at the Dolphins as well. Like they do have three of the higher paid. Two high paid wide receivers and their quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So it just so happens that this is the last one, and they got the contract at the same time because of their fault. On top of this is a lot of this is their fault,
right?
Because they could have done this. They could have done this earlier. They played this game with T. Higgins now for 2.5 years.
Right.
They could have been resolved this. They could have either moved
But
forward and traded
the
him.
whole point is,
Yeah.
they didn't want to pay T. Higgins. They paid T.
Burrow made
Higgins
him.
because of the pressure that Burrow applied to them. That's the whole premise of the statement, that there's increased pressure on Burrow. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah. But I will say,
Okay, I mean, if
I agree with both
if
of
that's
y'all.
if that's the pace that we're getting, like if that's the reason, if that's how we got there, then yes. Like because you can't be like in like the same thing with like Aaron Rodgers, right? Right? It's like the pressure like specifically when he came to the Jets gets amplified because oh, you have all your guys, so okay, you told we gave you everything that you wanted. So it's not like that it's the ball is in your court. You know what I'm saying? So like from that point of view, yes, I agree. The pressures, if that's how that's how it went down, yeah, then 100% right. That if he's the one who pushed for
What do you
all of
mean if
this
that's
stuff
how it
and that's
went
what he
down?
wanted,
In terms of
no,
him being the
yeah,
reason, him influencing them? You
yeah,
question
yeah,
whether or
like
not
no, 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 no,
that
no,
he
I
was
don't.
influential in this?
No, 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 not at all. I'm just,
So what do you mean if
I'm
that's how it
putting
went
it in
down?
the
What is that referring to?
No, I'm just putting it in that terms because that's just to leave the door open to where like they just wanted to be stubborn and not because they didn't do anything before all of this. Like we don't know if like even 2 years ago when they could have gotten something for him, where they could have gotten line,
For who?
traded him
Who's him?
for T Higgins.
Okay.
Like when they had opportunities to trade him and or sign him earlier. Um, they didn't do any of that because remember he was a second round pick.
Mhm.
He wasn't tied into like the salary structure that that first round picks where you can attach the fifth year option and all. So they didn't have as much control with him. Like like they could have easily figured this out a lot earlier.
Mhm.
And I mean, if maybe Joe Burrow should have put his foot down earlier before he got his money. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm coming around more to like okay the pressure because obviously with the contract he got and everything like that it puts all the pressure on him like in that respect. But I'm just saying like the team didn't get better by keeping their player.
Yeah,
Right.
but that has nothing to do with whether. I feel like you're arguing a different point. I feel like this is
Yeah,
pretty simple.
that
Joe Burrow campaigned for these two guys to get paid and stay on the team. They gave him what he wanted,
Mhm.
and whatever happens after that, and however that sort of hurts their ability to improve the team in other ways, no one's going to care about that because he asked for this. Now the pressure is increased for him to deliver because if he doesn't have a good season or if they don't have a good season, what's going to be the excuse?
Right.
yeah.
See, I agree with both of you in
You're
a way
muted,
because
so nobody hears what you're saying.
No, I heard him.
Still muted, or maybe it's something wrong with me. Do you hear? I can't hear you. Maybe my shit is busted. Flex, are you talking? All right, so maybe it's me.
damn. Anyway, can you hear us, H? No.
Yeah, I hear.
Oh, so PK. So yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. So it's like it's weird. It's because like I understand.
Wait,
Flex's
but
point
hold
of-
on.
Go ahead.
Before you even go,
Yeah.
let's make sure we're all on the same page here and what we're agreeing
Yeah,
on.
you're
and what we're
saying
not
that. Do
agreeing
you
on.
agree or not?
I'm saying that the statement
Yeah.
that was sent out, that
Yep.
he pushed them into
He's under
uncharted
pressure.
financial territory.
Okay.
Therefore, there's increased pressure on him. I'm saying I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying.
To
I
me,
agree.
The whole point of me bringing this up was because I was under the impression, based off the chat, that Flex
Yeah.
does not agree with that statement. That's why I was trying to figure
But
out
that,
where
and
he
that's what
stands
yeah,
and
yeah,
what he doesn't. What about the statement
yeah.
is inaccurate. So
Right.
now you're coming in. I don't know how you can agree with both of us when I'm
I'm
trying
I'm
to
trying to explain it.
understand where we stand.
No, but I was following. If that was what you were trying to ask, yeah, I was following. That was exactly what I thought was happening in the conversation. So I'm saying I disagree with both of y'all because I mean I agree with both of y'all is because I believe that there's pressure when you look at it in that aspect. Like if he went about it, like I want them and it was like agreed, like all right, man, this is on you type shit. But like because it's Joe Burrow, it almost feels like the pressure. Like I could see it where there isn't that like pressure on him because they already glorify him. They're stuck with him regardless. So it's not like if they have a bad season, it's like, oh, he's like, get him out of here. You know what I mean? It's like is that same pressure that would be on a player that his job's on the line or wasn't looked upon as the savior of fucking of the organization. I think there would be that kind of pressure, but I don't think like he's going out there like with that pressure. Like
then you don't agree with me. I don't want you on my
exactly.
island.
All right, I don't agree with
if that's what you're saying, then
yeah, you're
don't
right.
say you agree with both of us because you don't agree with me.
Right.
But I don't agree
yeah.
with, and I feel like you're trying to do the thing that you usually do, where
Which
you
is
try
what?
to talk both sides and just land nowhere and agree with everything. And
I'm just being.
everything.
I know
I'm
just
how
saying.
you work. I've seen
yeah.
you. I'm
You're
very
right.
familiar with your work. I've seen it.
I'm
before.
just saying. I'm just saying that when it comes to Joe Burrow, I don't think it's the same pressure as some other people would feel. I think it's just like as long as he does his job. Like
you guys keep adding to it.
All right.
I just don't understand why you keep adding to it. Like
Yeah.
Because there's levels to it, I feel like.
Of he's not the same as everybody else. Nobody said any of that. I didn't say that. That's why I keep saying, do you understand where I stand? Because now you're adding extra things aside to the statement that I'm not on the side of that. I'm not on the side of that he feels more pressure than somebody else in his position, or he feels more pressure than another quarterback, or he feels. I didn't say any of that. I'm not. That's not where I'm at.
You're just saying the pressure that is increased. That's it. It don't matter what kind of pressure is. The pressure has increased, and that's where that's where me and you disagree, right? The level. I'm more like. Yeah.
To me, I'm very much on the basic end of it, where the dude very publicly was campaigning for these dudes to get paid and for the organization to pay them.
Right.
They obviously had to, so they did it. They paid the two receivers that he wanted to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think generally, just people who know football who watched the Bengals last year, I think most people would have the assessment that they needed to do more with their offseason and with their cap room to improve the team than to prioritize the two receivers. They didn't do that. They did that for Joe to honor his requests and his campaigning to keep his guys. And because of that decision that he pressured them into making, and that they conceded, the pressure is elevated on him. That's the way I see it. That's the way I took the statement, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not comparing all this extra stuff. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm just saying, given the way that played out, and given the fact that we understand that there's only a certain amount of money that they can assign to fix the holes on the team, they chose to side with him rather than what I think most football people would agree that they needed to, that was not necessarily where the prioritization of the money should have been.
Right. Yeah.
So therefore,
I mean, that's also assuming that they're
on
gonna
his behalf. I feel like it's on him to perform and to overcome. If he wants to win, to overcome, you got your guys or whatever else is going on, you got to overcome it.
That reminds me of like not Michael Wilbon when Frank Isola where it's like Jacob deGrom, when he was in the
Hang tough.
Hang tough.
Hang
It's
tough.
like But I mean, also the other thing is that we're also under the assumption, like working under the assumption that the Bengals would spend their money on defense if it wasn't for that anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I'm not operating under that assumption either.
Yeah.
okay,
Don't assign that to me. I'm not operating under that
Yeah,
assumption.
I'm not neither. But I do. I guess the
I'm
answer
saying
is
the
yes.
overall.
I agree.
Cheeks, I think that what we need to do with
Like the
you
overall,
is
yeah.
like when it comes instead of like doing this little tiptoeing on both sides, we gotta ask you, are you cube in or cube out?
Right. There you go. It's Cheeks cube in or cube out. That's hard. Yeah. Nah, yeah, I guess so. I
So
guess
as
so.
far as Rodgers to the Jets, cube in or cube out? Let's get right to it. I mean, excuse me, the Giants. I said the Jets, right? Giants.
Yeah. All right, Giants.
Yeah,
Cube in or cube out?
don't you dare put that evil on me.
Yeah, I apologize.
Ricky
My
Bobby.
apologies.
That's a tough one. I'll say cube. I'll say. I guess I'll say cube in.
Okay. Now, do we think that well, first of all, I found the whole Viking statement to be a little silly and weird. I don't even know what the point of that was. I mean, I guess I understand what the point of it was, but it was just unusual.
Which one? What they say?
So they put out a statement. I guess it was I forget what was it, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. They publicly put out a statement saying that, and it was a weirdly worded statement. I don't remember the exact wording, but something like we're not moving forward with Aaron Rodgers at this time or some shit like that. I forget what the exact wording of the statement was, but basically, so you didn't see this either.
Nah, so the Viking fan base probably don't want him.
You see, this is the problem. I don't even know. I mean, it's interesting. I don't think it has anything to do with that because, to be honest with you, I feel like no matter what the fan base is, for the most part, all fan bases are the same when it comes to the Rodgers thing, and I just feel like it's a split. Like, I don't think that, at least when it comes to the Giants, I mean, look, I just asked you, and you were waving in the wind. You couldn't decide and you're just one person. But I feel like you're the perfect representation of the entire Giants fan base from who I've spoken to. Is people that kind of like, I don't know. You have people who are in the middle like, I don't know. There's people who are like, nah, no fucking way. And then there's people like, yo, let's bring them in. You know, we need something.
The best option.
And I feel like most fan bases are all in that same sort of boat when it comes to Rodgers. There's the people that want him. There's the people that want him bad. There's the people that desperately don't want him, and then there's the people that are in the middle that can't decide. I feel like that's with the Vikings, with the Giants, and with the Steelers.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I don't know if the statement was to appease any particular fans. I mean, unless if somebody was to tell me that in Minnesota there's very clear that the fans don't want him, that's different. But it just seems to me like all the fans seem to be all kind of the same sort of split when it comes to the proposal of having Rodgers on the squad. But they put out the statement saying that they're not pursuing him at this time, or we're not whatever. I forget what the exact statement was. But it was a weird like, to me, if they were going to put out a statement that really meant something, you say you're emphatic about, we're going with JJ. We're not doing Rodgers.
Right.
But they didn't say that. So that's why I was like, what's the point of even putting out a statement if it's going to be a statement that leaves the door open either way, kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
really
what I was going
get
to ask you next. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, what do you think? Who were they addressing, and why did they feel the need to put that statement out?
Well, to me, I mean, I could only guess. But the reason why I would guess they would put out a statement like that is, I think, to give JJ McCarthy a little bit of breathing room.
Right.
If, I don't know what the situation is with him, and how they feel about him, and whatever's going on with that. But that's the only thing I could think that maybe they want to do it because they want to, sort of clear up any questions about. But to me, again, they didn't really clear it up, so I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I could guess a bunch of different reasons why they might want to do something like that. There's a lot of different reasons, but
that's the only one I thought of because I heard I did see I forgot where it was where I did see some negative like comments from Viking fans and shit, or I heard one or two, like, you know what I mean? But I wonder if that, like, for them to have to address it, maybe I don't know, maybe there was
I mean,
something.
it could
Maybe
have just been that they've you know, they could just be that they're turning on, you know, fucking ESPN every day, and
everybody's
they keep on seeing that the whole talk is, oh, is he going to the Vikings? And you know, then it starts to become a PR thing where it's like, yo, we don't want to be associated with all this confusion. Even if we do maybe want to bring in Rodgers, we don't want our team name, and we don't want to be discussed all day in the news cycle with that bullshit if we're not even involved right now. You know what I'm saying? It could just be a PR situation.
Clear the air type shit.
Yeah, I mean, it could be deeper than that, but I don't really know. The only thing I could guess would be that a combination of, like, you know, because that's what I feel like the conversation at times like now where it's kind of dead, and you turn on fucking, you know, the ESPN morning show or whatever morning show, and they're like, oh, well, Rodgers, day 25, Rodgers hasn't made a decision. Is he going to the Vikings? We have people speculating the Vikings, and maybe if you're in Minnesota and you're just like, yo, we haven't even talked to this nigga, like, you know, we thought about it, we kicked it around internally, but, you know, we're not even close to being involved. I don't know why they keep talking about us. Maybe we need to put out a statement to, you know, to take our name out of this bullshit, because I feel like, and also we talked about this last week, I feel like this is starting to reflect badly on the teams. It's starting to look bad with the Giants. I know you were frustrated with how it looks for the Giants to be kind of hanging around waiting like this. I think it's starting to look bad for the Steelers, and I said that last week about how, like, yo, these motherfuckers is out here with no quarterback. They got no answers, and now they're just sitting around fucking waiting, holding the bag. So I feel like that's another reason why maybe the Vikings are like, yo, this shit is a bad look. And even if we do end up bringing this nigga in at some point for whatever reason, it's not like we hate him. It's not like we're totally not open to it, but that's not even where we at right now.
Yeah, we got our guy for now. Y'all can figure it out. You non-quarterback having teams could duke it out and do all this dilly-dallying and be all this posturing and be in the news cycle and all that. We don't want any part of it. It's almost like they're to the point where they're to the point where they're sick of all of this nonsense, but they're still interested in him. You know, they don't want to be a part of all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you don't know what his decision is going to be. So it's like, if they put that out, right, a non-committal stance, they could be like, if he ends up signing somewhere else, glad we had no part of it, nothing to do with that the whole time. And if he does end up signing, it's like, oh, you know what? We just changed course. He was JJ McCarthy. He's coming in to help be an asset to JJ McCarthy and help him along as he recovers from his injury. They'll put the spin on it afterwards. What they don't want to do is be part of this. Oh, is he going to go here? Or like on First Take every morning, is he going there? When will Rodgers make his decision? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to play that game. The Giants and the Steelers do have to play that game, because until they sign somebody else, there's only really two chairs left in the musical chairs. Like, it's almost like there's one chair left, and there's the Giants and the Steelers, right? And they'll let them dance around and let the music play around. But if the Giants decide to put their chair in at the last second, it's because they know that he's going to sit there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to play this game and leave it up to him. If they want, like, I feel like it's to the point where, like, it's up to them if they want to sign Aaron Rodgers. Like, for the other two teams, it's up to Aaron Rodgers if he wants to sign with them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And I also, this is another sneaky, maybe, I don't know if it's a hot take or maybe it's a conspiracy take, but I'm now starting to kick around the idea that maybe and I'm not kidding around when I say this. It's gonna sound wacky, but I am serious when I say that I think that this could be a possibility. Maybe Mike Tomlin might just be like, yo, you know what? I'm ready to leave Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
He might be like, yo, these motherfuckers haven't gotten me a quarterback. The fan base is complaining about me. They're talking shit about me. Everybody, it seems like, speaking of, fan bases and how they feel, it feels like there's like this whole thing with Tomlin right now where it's like the non-Steeler fans are all like, yo, y'all are wildin'. See, Tomlin is a good coach. But the Steelers fans are hard on this, like, yo, this motherfucker's not getting it done.
The Steelers.
We don't want to keep seeing him not getting it done. And while I don't like, and I've said this before, I don't necessarily totally disagree with the Steeler fans and how they feel. But I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's a great coach, and I think they're crazy to want to push him out like that. But I do understand their frustration. But he might be like, and I kind of got this idea because I was watching, I saw Ryan Clark, who has a relationship with Mike Tomlin, was a player of his, and, they talk. I don't know that he would say this on TV if he didn't have some type of whispers coming from the source. Like, he was on TV kind of, he didn't say Mike Tomlin said, but he was like, yo, I hope he does end up leaving Pittsburgh at some time and go somewhere else, and they'll be like, yo, we let a good coach go. So I was thinking, yo, maybe if Mike Tomlin is at the point where he's like, yo, let's do the Rodgers thing, he might look at, because I look at that, at first I was looking at that like, yo, Mike Tomlin's not going to want Rodgers because everywhere Rodgers goes, everybody gets fired. But then I was thinking, yo, maybe he's on that shit where he's like, yo, let's bring this nigga in. Maybe he's got it, maybe he doesn't. If we don't get it done, then I'll bounce and I go somewhere else. Cause I'm ready to be out of here anyway. He's at an age now, and I was making a little bit in my head. I was making a little bit of like an Andy Reid comparison, because if you remember, famously, Andy Reid was with the Eagles forever. 4 straight NFC Championship games, couldn't get over the hump. Got to the Super Bowl and lost. And as good as he was as a coach for the Eagles fans were done with him. They felt like he didn't have it no more, and he was kind of like wore out his welcome. Went somewhere else, got himself a good quarterback, and now he's on his way to being one of the greatest coaches of all time. Could Mike Tomlin have a similar timeline where he wears out his welcome in Pittsburgh?
It seems like it.
He's kind of like, they're both kind of sick of each other. The fans are sick of him. He's sick of getting pressured by the fans. He bounces, goes to another organization. I don't know exactly what age Andy Reid was when he left Philadelphia, but I feel like Mike Tomlin is right at the age now where he could have a second career almost. Like, he has enough time left. He could put in, 10 years with another organization, wherever that may be. But I feel like if he's going to do that, it's got to be in the next couple of years, because I feel like if he does another 5 years in Pittsburgh, he's going to be getting to the point where it's almost like, especially with the way that the coaches are aging down, it could be a spot where if he stays in Pittsburgh for another 5-10 years, or 10 years, forget it, but even another 5 years, it might be like, yo, like, he might find himself like Belichick, that niggas don't want to hire him. But I feel like if he goes with Rodgers next season, it doesn't work out, or even if it's 2 years, whatever, a short time, try to take one last kick at the can. If it doesn't work out, all right, I'll bounce, and y'all are done with me, I'm done with y'all, and maybe he gets a fresh start somewhere else and does an Andy Reid. Maybe he gets the next great quarterback and has that type of career. But that's what I'm thinking he might be thinking as far as the Rodgers thing. Because at first I was like, yo, why would he want to bring in Rodgers when he's the head of the organization there. He's respected. He's not. He never has to worry about a power struggle with anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the head honcho out there. Why would he want to bring in Rodgers, especially a diminished Rodgers at this age? But then I was thinking, yo, maybe he's not in love with the idea of staying in Pittsburgh for the rest of his career.
Right.
It's not
Oh,
impossible.
he sees it trending that. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, and
But I mean, he did
I'll
sign
take
that extension, though. You know.
Oh, that's true.
No, yeah, I know
But
he
he
signed
hears
the
the whispers,
extension, but
though.
what does that mean?
Yeah, no, but what I'm
I
saying
mean,
is,
that's
if
even
like,
better for him. Why wouldn't he sign
Right.
the extension? If he signs the extension, he gets fired. Now he could pick and choose where he goes.
yeah,
He
no,
don't
of
gotta
course, but
worry
I'm
about a
saying like,
check.
I'm going from the point of view of like, if like, if he was like on the ground where he was like he kind of wants out, and he's like reading the tea leaves of him like maybe moving on somewhere, like it would have been to his benefit to kind of like maybe not sign the
Nah,
extension and kind of
but why would he
hold
not?
them.
No. But if you have the
I
extension,
mean,
you can always walk away from it. You can't.
yeah,
You can't take the extension if you turn it down. Like you're not gonna if they're gonna offer you a contract extension and you can get paid, you're not gonna turn. There's literally no reason to turn that down, because even if he's done with the Steelers, he could sign that and then decide I don't want to do and give the money back, or
no, because
the contract is done. They're not gonna do anything about it.
because
Tear it up.
remember
and
the
keep it
talk. Remember the talk was like teams being interested in trading for him. Um, during like before he signed the extension. So it's like if we're doing the leverage thing, I feel like that would have been even he would have had even more leverage to like in his favor had he done the like wait around, see if a team does want to trade a second round or a first round pick for him, go to that team, and then he could be like, okay, this is how much I need. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in terms of asking for more money.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that they didn't explore that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know that the Steelers didn't make it clear one way or another, like, we're not trading you.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that wasn't an option for him, but
Yeah, it just seemed like the way that it kind of went from like the whispers to like, yeah, that's not happening.
But I feel
Extension,
like
boom.
those whispers, when they were only based on franchises that didn't have a good coach, that were desperate, and they were like, oh, maybe we can get Tomlin because we're hearing the whispers. But I don't think that there were ever whispers coming from Pittsburgh that they were done with Tomlin. That was only from the fans. That was never from the organization, from the Roonies. Like they have always been 100% committed to him publicly in every way. They at no point did they ever even suggest from the organization's standpoint that they would be willing to trade for him. That was all talk coming from teams like the Jets and like and all these other teams that were looking to, maybe we can save the franchise and acquire Mike Tomlin because we hear these whispers about the fans being unhappy. But at no point have I heard any whispers about any exploratory conversations about them trying to trade him. I didn't hear that from anywhere.
He was the youngest coach at some point, no? In the
He
league?
was the what?
Or was he the youngest coach in the league at some point or no?
When he was hired.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
he was hired, he was the youngest coach, I think, in history.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the youngest head coach hire when he was hired.
No,
Obviously,
I'm
that
just
was a
going
while
off
ago.
because of like no, I'm just going because like how you said about his age, and I was just trying to do the math. Um, because like you said, you don't want to. I don't even know how old Andy Reid is because I feel like he's been old forever.
He's 73.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Tomlin just feels like he's aged, but because of how long ago he was.
Yeah, the fact that he's been there for a minute.
He was 34 when he got hired.
Mike Tomlin?
34.
37
Yeah.
when he was hired.
And how old was
I think McVay was 31 or some shit like that. No, 32.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he broke the record. I think he broke Tomlin's record. But do we know, can you find out off top when Andy Reid left the Eagles, how old he was?
Yeah.
Because I feel like right now, because I was just doing loose calculations in my head, and that was how I started kind of going down this rabbit hole of this theory, because I was just like, yo, I feel like
30. McVay was 30. My fault. Go ahead.
I was like, I think if Tomlin is going to not be a Steeler for life and he's going to have a legitimate coaching tenure somewhere else, like how Andy Reid is doing, I feel like it would have to happen sometime soon. Because I feel like he's right around that age where
54. Reed was 54. Yeah.
Okay, I think Tomlin's a little older than that.
That's it right now.
Because Reed's not as old as I thought he was. He's
53. Perfect. 53. So it'll be perfect next year. Look at that. And he'll come to the New York Giants and we'll fucking be great once again.
Yo, I'm telling you, like, that was all, like, that. I just feel wise, it just felt like he's been there
very
right
similar.
around the same amount of time. He's about the same age. And, like, it's easy to look at Andy Reid now, all-time great coach, but Andy Reid was a loser when he left the Eagles.
Right.
And, like, it wasn't until that, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm kind of like, I'm getting Andy Reid final years with the Eagles vibes from where Tomlin seems to be having this struggle with the Steelers and the frustrations there. It feels very similar.
But it feels like, and I second you, it feels like it's more from the fan base rather than within the organization.
No, it's 100% from the fans.
Right. You don't feel
that's
like
what I'm saying. I have not
organization
heard that
feels the same way.
The organization has done nothing but publicly stand by him. Every time that anytime that anybody in the front office is asked about the future of Tomlin, would they be willing to trade? They're always emphatically no. We're not trading.
It would have to be within Tomlin to want to do it. Like, it seems.
And even if he wanted to do it, they don't necessarily have to honor that. If he was to go to the Roonies and say, "Listen, I feel like I'm done here. Maybe if you can see what you can get from me," they could tell him, "Listen, nah, you can play out your contract and you could bounce." Like, they don't need to do. They don't owe him anything. But that was just because if Mike Tomlin really values staying with the Steelers, retiring a Steeler, then I don't know. I view the potential of the Rodgers thing differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if he's sort of like, yo, you know what, man, let's give this shit one last ride, last dance. Right now, I'm kind of getting tired of this bullshit. These fucking fans giving me a hard time. These motherfuckers haven't got me a quarterback. And he's not giving, and also the way that he managed, and I don't know what went on behind the scenes in terms of whether or not the GM had influence on this as well, but the way that he managed the quarterback situation last year also kind of made me think, like, yo, this nigga's not really trying to do the young quarterback thing. Like, because he had a chance to ride with Justin Fields and see if they could develop him, and then maybe, he has a young quarterback. Or even if they would have kept the Pickett thing. Like, he just doesn't give me the vibe. Like, right now, if the Steelers had the number 1 overall pick, hypothetically, and they could get like a young quarterback, I don't think that he's interested in that. And that also kind of tells me that I don't know how committed to the future he is right now with this. He's just starting to not give me those vibes. So, like, while I've always sort of looked at Tomlin to be like the next kind of Cowher, fucking Chuck Noll, these motherfuckers that they're with the Steelers forever, and that just kind of, and I feel like everybody sort of assumed that too. Like, Tomlin's just gonna be there forever, and then when he leaves, they're gonna have the next coach for fucking 50 years. But now I'm starting to get the vibe that I don't know, man. If they do end up with Rodgers, combine that with the way that he sort of seems to be managing the quarterback situation, combined with the fact that the fans are kind of really fucking down this nigga's back, it might be a different type of deal where he might just be like, yo, you know what? Like, let's roll with Rodgers. Let's see if we get this shit done. And then if it blows up, it blows up. I move on and I start off somewhere else. You go to, I don't know, go somewhere else. I'm trying to think, because he's from, I know he went to college in Virginia. I don't know if he's originally from Virginia, but
it does. But I agree, it does have
the Commanders already have a coach, so I don't know if he's going there.
All the moves, especially this offseason, it does have like a Hail Mary, almost like a ending feel to it. Like when it was Ben, like, oh, we got to get him. We got the quarterback now, unless they feel, they kind of feel like that defense is good enough to win a chip. So like, let's before we have to split this up, let's try to hurry
And that's
up. But
another thing is that the
it does have
defense
that.
is old. That's an old defense. That
Yeah.
defense has like 2-3 years
it's
of still
still there.
being good before they need to start to revamp some
Yeah.
of those pieces.
They do now. They do now. I feel that they do now, but they're still so high up there with when JJ's healthy that it's like that's the only thing I could really like think like what the pressure or what the time pressure is from. You know what I mean? Like, because it does seem not desperate, but it does seem like let's get this going now. We don't not for the future type shit. It does have that feel.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just
feel like
I
that's
just think
a
with,
situation to monitor.
with Tomlin specifically, the last thing I'll just say, like, it just feels like the part of the problem to his doing to a certain extent. It seems like he just doesn't have how the team hasn't been built, to his not to his liking, but like to the
As
level
usual.
with like on the same level of these other teams that have bigger margins for error. So I don't know. I just think that he's dealing with a strict kind of like margin. So I feel like he's always gonna go for the guy that he thinks is gonna execute everything he wants.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like the Steelers fans, they sometimes, like, again, I said, I understand their frustration,
Right.
but I feel like they're so lazy and they miss the point when it comes to what the Mike Tomlin problem is. Because so many people talk about, oh, look at, all they do is they he doesn't lose, he never has a losing record, but all they do is lose in the first round. They like all they've done recently is they lose the first playoff game. To me, they lost last year to Lamar Jackson. He brought Russell Wilson to a Lamar Jackson fight. The year before that, he brought Mason Rudolph to a Josh Allen fight.
Right.
And the year before that, he brought Big Ben's rotting, or maybe not the year before that, but
No. Yeah.
the last year of
was
Ben, he brought Ben Roethlisberger's rotting corpse to a fucking MVP fucking Pat Mahomes fight. So the recent playoff losses that people keep on blaming him for, I feel like they were lucky to even fucking be there. The real losses that nobody talks about with Tomlin, that if you're going to criticize Tomlin and you're going to criticize the playoff losses, to me, the playoff losses you criticize is when he had prime Ben. Like, he had a lot of bad maybe a lot, but he had very memorable bad playoff losses with prime Ben. And I feel like if you're going to criticize Tomlin, that's where you go. You go to the Tebow game. You can't lose the Tebow game. You go to the Blake Bortles fucking loss to the Jags. That's where you go when you criticize Tomlin's playoff losses. Motherfuckers criticizing this nigga for losing to Josh Allen with Mason Rudolph. He was lucky to fucking be there. He was he was keeping that fucking team together with duct tape and Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. Like, that shit was not Mike Tomlin's fault. You lose that fucking Tebow game and the Blake Bortles game, Mike Tomlin should hang his head in shame for those. But there's no shame in, like, the last fucking 5 years that they've lost. He hasn't had a quarterback.
Right. And the no losing record thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, somehow, by hook or by crook, he fucking always finds a way to have a winning record. I don't know how, but
that defense is big. I want him to come. I would love him. I would love him.
No, you got Coach of the Year, Brian Dable.
Yeah, we'll see.
Dave's.
We'll see what he does. But he's not. He's on a short leash, though.
Dave's and Joe Flacco. Who's stopping
Okay,
them?
so speaking of that, what do the Giants need to do?
Sorry.
Or what are the possible scenarios in terms of how they translate to how it affects the coach? Like, what's the minimum win total that Shane and Dable need to 100% stay? Minimum win total. 9 wins. Can
No,
they possibly
no,
get fired on a 9-win season? Winning season, but obviously by one.
on a winning season, I think.
Do they survive a 9-8 season?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Do they survive a 7-10 season?
I feel like yes.
Right. I agree. I feel like yes.
Because that'll
6-win season. Do they survive?
No.
I want to see where the line.
Yeah, I know. I know that's what you want.
And I'm not saying it like I have an answer. I'm just I'm trying to think it out with y'all because I want to know how y'all feel about it.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm trying to do. It's my first time really thinking of it like that. I think.
And obviously, I think it depends. You know, we got to know what it looks like. We got to know. We don't know what the quarterback situation is.
Right.
Like I feel like it's different if he wins. If you win 7 games with Shedeur Sanders, you don't get fired. If you win 7 games with Rodgers or Russell Wilson, that's a different situation.
I think it comes to that quarterback situation again. I think if you got Ward, Dart, or Sanders, and you win 6, and it looks like okay, you know what I mean? I think they're back in it, and I think the only way. And I think the only way they get that opportunity is with the rookie quarterback. So they know that. So they have to get that rookie quarterback, regardless. And if it's not in the first round, I think if you get a second round quarterback and you fail miserably, I think. But if you win 6 with any rookie quarterback, I think you're there again.
I see what you're saying. But if that's the case, then wouldn't you think that they wouldn't even be talking about Rodgers or Wilson because they give themselves more wiggle room with the rookie quarterback.
Yeah, unless they want the OG and the rookie, which is what I think they wanted. They want the OG and the rookie because they want to have they want to be able to pick the rookie in the second round. They have, and I believe that they have 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the second round that they hope fall to the second and they want to get there.
So if they draft a second-round quarterback, do you think, based off of how you're viewing what you expect they might be doing or thinking, if they go second-round quarterback, do you expect that means that they're going to play that second-round quarterback next year at some point?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I think they have to, and I think that's why they want. I feel like that's playing with fire, no? And in what sense? In the fact that the quarterback's not going to want to
trying to save their
OG
jobs,
quarterback.
If the mission is we're trying to keep our jobs, we're trying to put ourselves in the best position to keep our jobs, I feel like that's the worst decision. I feel like you're better off either going with a rookie quarterback, first rounder, and we're gonna try to sell to Mara and to the fans that we're developing this guy. I don't know what the record's gonna look like, but we're gonna sell that we got a blue chip rookie. You either sell that to try to keep your job, or you go with a veteran like Russ or Aaron Rodgers and you're just trying to win games. I feel like you find yourself in the middle where we're gonna go with a veteran, and then in the middle of the season we're gonna go with a second rounder. I feel like you might as well just hand in your papers now.
Yeah, but I say, for example, you got Rodgers, you're not doing well, right? And then you like, fuck it, let's put the rookie in. The fans are calling for him. Let's put the rookie in, and then you win your last 4 with the rookie quarterback. I think that there's
job.
I think that can. I think that can, because they're like, yo, look what I did. Now I'm gonna go all year next year. Wow. But and that's the only reason I think that is because Mara has already shown that where he stands. He don't want to fire them, but he also
he? I don't know where he stands.
It seems like to me that his stance is, you got to show me that y'all know what y'all doing, that y'all moving towards the direction, a good direction, because he's almost flirting with that, like, well, we had a good draft, that like I saw some light in some light. It's not all negative. And then next year you do the same thing. I feel like he's gonna he's gonna go with that. I'm talking about Mara though. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about how I think Mara's looking at the situation.
Yeah, Flex. What do you?
Because they're gonna sell
what
it
do
to
you
him
think
again.
is gonna? What do you think they're? Do you think that they're prioritizing trying to save the job? You think they're looking to a second rounder? Or what do you think?
Yeah,
No, I was asking Flex, but I don't know if he's frozen or what happened.
No, he's there.
No.
You gotta say their name.
Can you guys see me?
I did. I said Flex. What do you think?
Oh, did you? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I don't know, man. It's tough because if it's like if you put yourself in their position, I feel like you kind of feel like the anxiety of like, yo, I gotta do whatever I can. You know what I'm saying? Like, be that in the draft. If it means like, if I see some tools in Jackson Dart, like where I wouldn't at the third at the three pick, I'll be like, yo, yeah, I like some of the things he does, but three, I can't do that at the three, man. Like I feel like like you're in that situation, like shit, I don't have.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Froze.
Way.
He's been freezing a little bit.
If I don't get a quarterback that I'm confident in, it's almost like you have to take the crapshoot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone's like my internet's acting crazy.
Oh, you're late. You're mad late. He's mad late. But that's why I kind of feel like it's like it's a desperate move, and to get more quarterbacks and more reasons to save your job. I think that's what they're going for. It's like, and he did say he's gonna. I think his words were swings.
Who?
So Joe Shane, when he said he's gonna take a few swings at the quarterback thing. So now that I'm thinking, you can translate
fans
that
want to
as
take a few swings at him.
right, pinata. Imagine that, a pinata
Yo,
Shane. That'll be fucking
we
gangster.
gotta get a Joe Shane pinata, 100%.
Yo, and then I'll fucking break it when it's time to break it. I'll bring this shit outside. I'll fucking break it when it's time to break it. I wonder what kind of candies is gonna come out of his head. But damn, what was I saying though? Oh yeah, so you could translate that. You could translate that as him maybe taking a couple swings, maybe having multiple options in 1 year. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. It doesn't sound crazy to me, man. If you get a Milroe in the second round or something like that, it's enough to get me excited. You know what I'm saying? Enough to get me excited. Bring Rodgers in, bring the rookie quarterback in the second or first round. I'd rather in the second because obviously I want them to get something more valuable than the third quarterback or move down or finagle, whichever way. But I do want to see a rookie quarterback.
Quarterbacks are going 1 and 2? Because I'm starting to feel like it's not that's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's a good. I don't know, man. It feels like.
Let's put it this way.
It feel like
the way
it can
that things
happen.
are going, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be there at 3.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's trading up to get him, and I don't think the Browns are going to take him.
Right. So you play the waiting game. If he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's not. That's the tricky part. You got.
No,
if you don't get him.
I'm not saying that. If I was Joe Shane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you're just saying patient. I'm saying patient, bro. I'm
saying
saying like that.
Wouldn't. No, if I was, I like Shedeur Sanders. If I had a feeling that he wasn't gonna be there at 3, I would move up to get him. But that's me, and I don't think. But the thing is that there's two separate thoughts, right? There's what I'm kind of just, and I'm not an NFL insider, but just based off of like what I hear the insiders saying, it seems like the stock on Shedeur Sanders is at best flat. I don't think I'm not hearing people looking to trade up to get Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
If anything, I'm hearing the more
right where he needs to
maybe
be.
He's gonna fall. Maybe and like that could all be smoke and mirrors too. But if I had to guess, I think he'll be there at 3. If I was Joe Shane and I thought he's gonna be there at 3, I wait and I hope to take him at 3. If I'm getting vibes that somebody else is gonna jump me and they want to go get him at 2, they're gonna move picks and shit to get Shador. I'm just not hearing that. But if he was hearing that, then I would start to think maybe I need to do the same.
Exactly, and that's where we come in, where we putting ourselves in Shane, like what would Shane do or what would I do, kind of thing. And I think I agree, like. Shane, if he feels that he has to go up and get him, if he really thinks that someone's gonna jump him to get him, he's gonna have to go. I think if you're Joe Shane, you have to. And I think
he's not gonna be there next year anyway if he doesn't.
Right, exactly. And it's like, and if you play that, I don't think you're in a position. I don't think he's in a position where he wants to gamble whether he falls there or not. In the worst case scenario, I'll move back in the first and try to get a dart. I don't think that's where he wants to be at, Joe Shane. I think he wants to just go get the quarterback. Where if you brought somebody new in, or if you weren't so desperate, you would let the draft fall where it falls, and then you move accordingly. Which I think I would do. I would wait on 3, and then if Shador is there, I'll snatch him up. And if not, I'll get the best player available, Carter or whatchamacallit, and then go quarterback second round. It might not be favorable. It might blow up in my face, but I'm gonna get that possibly the best player in the draft, Abdul Carter or Hunter. So you know what I'm saying.
But how whack are the Titans though? Because the reason why I asked that is because I'm like, the Titans. I can't remember a time where there was a bad team that didn't have a 100% this is our guy quarterback on the roster. And I feel like usually when that's the case, it's obvious, okay, they're going to take the best quarterback available. Cam Ward is going to the Titans. And then we start with number 2, usually. That's usually, I feel like, how the draft analysis goes. But in this case, I don't hear anybody saying that either of the quarterbacks are going with the Titans. I don't think anybody expects Cam Ward or Shador Sanders to be a Titan. Why is that?
That's a good point. That's a good thing. Maybe because they
like, that's why I say, how whack are they that nobody is that's not even an interesting conversation that I hear anybody having. Like, usually if it's no matter how shitty the team, like I remember when the Browns took Baker number 1, the fucking Browns, they were coming off of a winless season. Terrible. But it was which quarterback are they going to take? And obviously I remember in that draft there were more highly rated quarterback prospects available. But the fact that we expect, pretty much people expect at minimum 1, if not 2 quarterbacks to go top 3. But there's no excitement, no interest, no conversation around the team that has the number 1 pick taking either of the 2 quarterbacks. I haven't heard it anywhere.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
But they made a statement,
I feel like it's more so because...
My fault. Go ahead.
No, I just feel like it's more so like... Because Cam Ward kind of like... Obviously, he ended up building up because he was a Heisman finalist. But it just feels like he came out of nowhere to a certain degree. So it's like people are trying to sell themselves on him. And that's where they're starting from. So I feel like the buzz isn't been like... for like Caleb Williams, it was like for 2 years, like... Oh, Caleb Williams, he's going to be the number 1 pick when he comes out. So it's like, that's easier, so because you can be like,
but it's not even about Cam. Like, I've heard people talk about maybe the Browns, if, the Browns are going to take a quarterback. I've heard, obviously, I hear more about the Giants being in New York, but I feel like even on national TV, national radio, I hear people discussing what the Giants are going to do at quarterback. Are they going to take one of the guys? Are they gonna draft one of these guys, Cam Ward or Shador Sanders? And then it sort of felt like Shador Sanders sort of just fell out of the conversation, as really people are just really kind of circling around Cam Ward being the first quarterback that gets drafted. But I just don't hear that name being attached to the Titans, and it's just weird to me. Like I keep having to remind myself that the Titans have the number 1 overall pick, and I've never had to do that. Every year, whoever has the number 1 overall pick is the team that is being discussed with the quarterback that's usually gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird to me that the team that has the number 1 overall pick and needs a quarterback, there's 2 quarterbacks that people expect to go, if not number 1, high in the draft. And, when it comes to the Titans, nobody really is saying that Cam Ward is going to be a Titan. I hear more people saying that he potentially could be a Brown or a Giant than a Titan. Yeah. And I just feel like at first it was like, oh, well, the Titans are going to take Abdul Carter. And, like, I don't even think anybody even gives a shit who the Titans. We have no idea who the Titans quarterback is going to be next year. Yeah. Nobody's saying it's going to be a rookie. Nobody's saying it's going to be Rodgers. I don't think anybody even gives a shit. Like, how whack are the Titans that they're not even sexy enough to make believe we care about who their quarterback is going to be?
It's funny because I saw some rumblings of like, I don't know how they popped into my timeline, but I did see some like Titans fans, obviously, that are starting to cry about how like because it's not sexy, it's not a big market, the quarterback isn't being hyped up because he's going to he's going to the Titans or something like that. So I'm starting to see like some of that like creep in. So it's like, maybe it is because it's the Titans and it's not like, and in that division as well, and like on top of that, like I said before, it's not the prospect that we've been waiting on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not when it was Suck for Sam or when Mariota was coming out. Obviously those didn't come out. It's not like those didn't work out or whatever. But I'm saying like, where there's that hype to where it's like, oh, for Tua, tank for Tua, and all these other things, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there wasn't the hype on the prospect going in, so it's almost like, and then on top of that, it is the Titans. You know what I'm saying? So maybe just like that's the perfect combination of of blah, where that the excitement isn't kind of drummed up, even if it's artificially,
Word.
What do you guys think? Real quick, just and then I'll add on to it. I just want to get your answer. Do you guys think they go quarterback or they trade out or they pick up?
They're gonna no, I feel like it's going in that direction. I feel like because
what direction?
The Cam Ward.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just feel like even like Brian Callahan, how long is he gonna have to wait on a quarterback? It's almost like, especially with him who hasn't had, like, for example, Dable bought himself some credibility with that playoff win.
Right.
Even if like it's been bad since then, but I'm saying like in the case of like Callahan, all he's had is
bad since then. That's the last good game that they had.
Yeah. But I'm saying like you can't point back to that. It's like, oh, if we get him a quarterback or if he has this, we've seen what he can do. Like with Callahan, it's like, okay, like all we've seen is the quarterback that you've taken over, at which you were hired because of what the Bengals offense and all of that. What all that entails, or like whatever QB whisper tag or whatever. But I'm saying what you had was Will Levis, and there's not a quarterback that was more spectacularly like awful. You know what I'm saying?
Like Richardson was up there.
No. But what I'm saying is, it's almost like with it's almost like a Jameis Winston sort of awful, where it's like you can laugh. It's like you can laugh about how bad he was, and I don't know. Like I don't think that my point is like I don't think Callahan has the cachet to be like, oh yeah, we'll get it next year. You know what I'm saying? It's like because if you're up there next year, it's like you're probably not gonna make it.
Yeah, you think he'll be fired?
Well, if it's that bad, yeah.
What do you think?
They're
going with
we're going to draft a quarterback. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
we're talking about
a
team that got rid of.
That's kind of why I posed the previous question of how come nobody's talking about the Titans. I haven't heard yay or nay. Like I've heard very little about anybody having any sort of insight into what they're doing, and it just seems like nobody even gives a shit.
So I know that they made a statement. I was looking it up because I know there was a statement made, and that they made a statement where they said that they're not gonna pass on generational talent. So it's kind of flirting with it, but it's like.
But to me, that sounds like they're saying they're not gonna take a quarterback.
Right. Exactly. It sounds that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they believe Ward is a generational talent.
Yeah, unless they're talking about Ward, but it sounds like it seems to me like everybody the quote unquote generational talents that everybody's talking about at the top of the draft is not the quarterbacks. It's
Right.
Abdul Carter and it's Travis
Hunter. Hunter.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of feel like they're gonna take. I agree with. I mean, I think I agree with Flex. I kind of feel like they're just. I feel like all this conversation, they have not been a part of it, and then at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones that ended up with Cam Ward.
Right.
Like I do think that they. I do think that like because it's
I
not
see
like
both.
they. Who are the quarterbacks that they have on the roster?
That's the only thing. It
It's
comes
not
down
even
to
like
they
they
believe
signed
it.
a guy that you could talk yourself into.
Right.
They're going with him for a year.
Right. Now it's Levis, but are they? I remember there was some controversy between them, right? Canahan and Levis,
Levis?
where he said something about,
We
but that
said
was
what-
early
What
in
the
the
hell are
year.
you doing?
Yeah, early in the year,
Yeah.
right? And did it get better? Was it still
He
friction
benched
there?
him. He benched him for Mason
He
Rudolph.
did. At
He
the
wasn't
end
even
of the year.
starting by the end of the season.
Right. So what does that tell you?
And
there?
yo, speaking of Mason Rudolph, the craziest shit that I'm hearing now is motherfuckers is talking themselves into, well, the Steelers, they've put themselves in a situation where they don't need Rodgers because they signed Mason Rudolph.
my
I was
God.
like, have you not heard that?
That's
No.
crazy.
Yo, I've heard a couple of spots
You
where they're
think
like,
people are
yeah,
thinking
well,
that?
you
That's
know,
crazy.
they added
That's
Mason Rudolph, so they're not as desperate for a quarterback. Like, no, my nigga, you are just as desperate yesterday without Mason Rudolph as
Right.
you were today with Mason
Right.
Rudolph. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how
Well,
this
and if you're
legend
not-
of Mason Rudolph
Right.
has grown.
Right.
Like, people saw him throw a couple passes with the Titans, a couple passes that one year where he was in the playoff game where he took Kenny Pickett's job, and all of a sudden Mason Rudolph is a borderline starter. This nigga's
Yeah,
trash.
crazy. I'll tell you this. If anybody believes that they're out of the QB race because of it, I
think they said
guarantee
that on
you
Scoop
Tomlin.
City. I think
I
that
guarantee you Tomlin
Diana
doesn't
Rossini
agree.
and this guy were kicking that around.
I guarantee Tomlin does not agree. I could almost
It's funny
guarantee
you
that.
say that because I want to agree with you, but there is a part of me that is a little bit with the way that I've seen Mike Tomlin. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin is the guy who benched Kenny Pickett for Mason Rudolph
Right.
in a playoff game.
Yeah, but was
I
it?
mean,
Yeah. But was it because he
and,
had?
And back to what Flex was saying, in terms of him wanting a guy who he can trust, he might look at Mason Rudolph like, at least I know what he is. And Mike Tomlin I love him, but he might be a little bit primitive and like, yo, we're going to try to win this shit with, ground and pound, and my defense is going to win the games for me, and we can roll with Rudolph as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, I don't.
Crazy, but
I think that's a mistake. But if
Yeah,
that was
especially
the way
with what the
Mike
moves you're
Tomlin was
making.
thinking, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. I would, just because of the way they're setting up the team, like with the receivers and shit. It's like they want. It's
funny you say
almost
that because that's another thing is that like a lot of the personnel decisions being made by the GM, and then the way that the personnel is being managed and
Right.
the roster is being managed from the coaching
Doesn't
standpoint
feel-
really
yeah.
seems to clash in a lot of ways. And I don't really know if
Exactly.
these niggas. That also goes back to my earlier point, is why there might be a little bit of a
Exactly.
disconnect between
Right.
Tomlin and the organization,
Right.
where he's like, "Yo, like I don't know what the fuck is going on here."
Right. and it
Yeah,
feeds
I
to
don't
the
know. It seems like
narrative.
there's butting heads there.
Right, and if exactly, or they're on that, they do feel like they're on a timeline. Whether Tomlin wants to retire or is making moves, like there's a timeline. Like I said,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean?
Down the
It
Mike
does.
timeline.
Yeah, right. That's hard. This guy's the amazing punchline.
Punchline champion.
Right, you need to sell me some of those.
But yo, I don't know. I just think at the end of the day, like it's to the advantage and disadvantage of Mike Tomlin, and it's like there's two different sorts of like desperation. Like I feel like the desperation of like the Steelers is like Omar Khan. It's like, yo, what do you want? I got DK Metcalf, and got one of the young, superstar wide receivers, and then I also got one of the more established superstar wide receivers in name at least. And it's like, oh, when you look at this team, we got T.J. Watt, we've got DK Metcalf. You know what I'm saying? Like he can point to be like, oh, we got stars on this team. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and on the other side with the Giants, it's like, yeah, we need to win games like to save our jobs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in in the case of like the Steelers, Omar Khan isn't tied to Tomlin the way that Shane and Dable obviously are tied together at this point. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So it's like I just feel like it seems like Omar Khan is doing what he can to preserve his job, and because he knows that there's separation there, he can point to like, look at the team I got, almost
Yeah,
like
but
in
Khan's
the
not going anywhere. I don't think he's in any
no.
job
No, but
jeopardy.
what I'm saying is like even with the like chatter, amongst the fans, like what's happened with Tomlin, you know what I'm saying? Like he can save face by
Yeah.
saying like, look at the team that I built. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And like kind of
Can he?
separate himself. Well,
I don't.
so
If
I'm
he
sure
if
he
he,
thinks
it will
if he
be a
were to
good
get on
bargaining
this
chip.
show right now, I would love to debate him about this team that he's built because I think he's built a trash team.
Right.
I think
But
he's built a garbage team.
right. But that's what Flex is saying, almost like, right? Flex is like he he's building up a chip to bargain with. Like, look, they don't like Tomlin. But look at my paper, look at the team I built. Like it's Tomlin first and me type shit.
Well, I mean,
Right?
the thing is that he's only been there 3 years. That's why I'm saying I don't think that they're not gonna. I don't think his job is in any jeopardy. I just think he has a different way of going about things than the way that the Steelers have done for a lot of years. And
Yeah.
I think that
does.
he seems like he tries to do things a little bit in a different way. Like that whole, like again, the DK Metcalf trade was like
So
that's a
unlike-
trade I could see the GM celebrating, like, look at this trade I pulled off. But that's just not the way the Steelers have done it. And that's just not like, that's a very sort of like almost like an arrogant type of trade to make. And that's just not usually the type of moves that the Steelers make. And that's just not the type of moves that I feel like Mike Tomlin wants to make.
Right.
yeah, he doesn't
So
want
you
to deal
think
with
there's
all that.
you think there's separation, like a big
It
like
just
maybe
seems that way because it just
does.
seems that way because, like, pure example,
it does.
the quarterback situation is the perfect example. This guy, the GM acquires both Russ and Justin Fields on 1-year deals.
Mhm.
Last year, they had to start with Fields because Russ was hurt. Fields gets benched as soon as Russ is healthy, never gets the job back. The season ends. So I look at that situation. To me, that's Mike Tomlin choosing Russ over Justin Fields. That's how I
Right.
view that.
Of course.
Off
yeah.
season
It's a-
comes, the decision is no longer in Tomlin's hands. Now it's up to the GM, and the GM made the reverse decision. The GM was like, Russ, we're gonna prioritize trying to sign Fields. Russ, you can go shop your services elsewhere. And to
Right.
me, that was in contrast with what I saw Mike Tomlin do coaching the team. So that's why I feel like, to me, when I see that to me looks like there's a disconnect, because why would you, if you thought that next year you were going into the season, your goal was to try to go into the season with Justin Fields as the starter, and that's another thing is why I feel like a young, cocky, sort of arrogant GM style, that's what you want. You want to sign Justin Fields. Like, look, going back to what Flex was saying, like, look at what I got. I don't know that it's a job preservation mechanism. I think it's just that's his vibe. That's how he wants to do things. He wants the big name. He's not afraid to makes do like Steelers have always been very conservative in the deals that they don't sign big wide receiver deals. Like you could take a walk, we'll find somebody else somewhere else. He's doing things a little bit differently, and I don't know what the reason behind it is. I think that just seems to be this dude's vibe. And I feel like it goes into the Justin Fields decision where he was like, yo, I think it'd be cool to have Justin Fields. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he was just looking at it like, yo, Justin Fields, there's a lot of talent there. Tomlin, figure it out type of shit.
Right. Yeah, it does. It definitely feels like butting heads, though. Definitely does.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's why I'm kind of like, maybe he might just be like, yo, this motherfucker's, he's bringing in all these niggas that I got to deal with DK Metcalf now. I already had to deal with George Pickens. Now I got to deal with DK Metcalf. Now I might have to deal with Rodgers. And that's why I think he might just be like, yo, you know what? Fuck it. Bring these niggas in. Let's see what happens. I'll focus on the defense. Fucking Arthur Smith, you figure it out with the offense. And if it doesn't work out,
I'll let you duke it out
with
them
niggas.
niggas.
Trying to skewer me anyway.
Right, exactly. Yep, feels that way, and that's why I thought Rodgers would be a good place there.
Have fun with
Rodgers, but
that
for
hot
Rodgers,
potato, nigga, toss that shit away quick.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the environment I want Rodgers in anyway. Like, I don't want it to. As far as if that's the mentality that Tomlin has, where he's trying to redo what the Jets did, which was like, you be the coach of the offense, I'll just take care of that. I don't think Tomlin would do that. But
I feel like that's what Tomlin does anyway, whether it's Rodgers or not. I don't think that he's super.
Yeah, but I think
offense,
that would make me not want. Yeah, but he's still the you know what I mean, like the face of the whole team. Where I feel like Saleh kind of was like, it was clear like Saleh's doing the defense and Rodgers doing the offense. That's why his relationship with the owner and all that shit. Where I don't think Tomlin is gonna do that to that level where he's gonna be like, it's gonna be separated. Like, oh, he's the offensive guy, don't blame me. Like, Tomlin has too much respect in the league and in that locker room to allow that to happen. I think.
Well, I
think he just knows.
What is the Tomlin offense like? He doesn't have an offense. I feel like at the end of the day, if you're bringing in a guy like Rodgers, it's going to be up to Arthur Smith to figure it out. He's going to be the one, I feel like, having that tug of war with Rodgers. It's not going to be Tomlin because, like, so if Rodgers wants to do this on offense, Tomlin counters with what?
Right. But
his playbook, his offensive play, he doesn't have a. He doesn't have a
unless he believes
as far as offense comes.
Unless he believes in that offense that he has there, but he's just like the face of it. He's not gonna allow himself to be overshadowed in that department. I don't think. Like, I think he believes it. Like, this is what has to be done, and this is the way it has to be. This is the way it has to be. I'm a winning coach, bro. I'm not fucking. You know what I mean? Somebody that has no say.
If that's the case, then I don't know. I don't. But I just don't. Because to say that is to say that he's bringing in Rodgers to have a fight. I don't think he's bringing in Rodgers to have a power struggle. I think if he's bringing, because that was my whole thing with Rodgers from the beginning. The whole idea of him going with the Steelers, I was just like, I don't know that Tomlin is welcoming that power struggle.
Right.
And if he is, it might be because he's like, all right, we're going to try this shit out, and if it doesn't work out, I'm ready to bounce.
Right.
Because I feel like if he's ready to turn to Rodgers, I feel like you're doing one of two things. You're either welcoming a power struggle or you're forfeiting the power struggle. Because that's you, especially Tomlin, you're not going to win that because you're not an offensive guy. I feel like it's a different conversation if we're talking about a Dable or an offensive guy, a guy who's known for offense. We understand what their identity is offensively, and he could try to implement that with Rodgers. But what offense is Tomlin selling to Rodgers? I want you to run this offense. I don't know that Tomlin is doing that.
Has the offense, I just feel like there'll be more structure there. That. With Tomlin.
I think organizationally, I think as far as like, it's not. I'll tell you one thing. It seemed like by the time Saleh was fired and you had Ulbrich, it just seemed like it literally just seemed like Ulbrich was just standing there. Like Rodgers was calling the timeouts, he was doing the substitutions. Like it seemed like he was behind all of that. Yeah. That I don't think will go on with Tomlin. I don't think he's doing, we're gonna do this running back is gonna be in with this package. I don't think it will go that far with Tomlin. Right. But as far as the offense that you want to run, I think Rodgers is gonna run the offense he wants to run if Tomlin is the coach, because Tomlin don't have an offense.
Right. Right. And
which is crazy because Arthur Smith reportedly didn't go to the Jets in the past offseason because of the Rodgers situation, where like dropping him in there, that would be something to watch.
That's the other thing, is I kind of question that though too, because I feel like and we talked about this, I always felt like that whole thing was bullshit anyway. The whole idea that we're gonna ask Arthur Smith to come here and be a consultant. We're not going to give him the respect and the title of being the offensive coordinator. Right. And then when he turns it down, we're going to be like, he turned it down. And it's going to be about that he didn't want to be there because of Rodgers or because of this or because of whatever. Like, maybe if they were like, yo, we're getting rid of Nate Hackett, you're going to be the OC, Rodgers is going to be your quarterback, he might have been like, yeah, let's do it. But when you offer a guy a fucking bullshit role consultant and he has an opportunity to be an OC somewhere else, he's going to take that, I would think. Yeah. Right. I'm not going to come be with the Jets and you're not going to give me the title because you got to suck Nate Hackett's dick. Fuck out of here. I'll go with the Steelers. Right. Like, I felt like that was all bullshit. That was disingenuous, that job offer. I never really bought that as, like, legitimate. I mean, maybe he didn't take it because of maybe the Rodgers thing was ultimately a turnoff regardless of whether they were going to make him OC or not. But I feel like if you were never going to make him OC, it was never going to happen anyway. It was a bullshit offer.
Good point.
But it's the fact still remains that it would be funny and ironic if he ends up coaching Rodgers anyway. Yeah. And maybe Rodgers comes and he tells him, yo, I'm only coming if you make fucking Arthur Smith a consultant and bring in Nate Hackett to the OC. That would be
crazy.
The fucking
that would be crazy.
The GIF that's from the Office, where this nigga's like doing this and then they go to the other side and that guy's doing this as well. You know what I'm saying? It's like the standoff is like, oh, so what are you gonna do now that the tables have turned?
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I don't know what kind of and it would. I feel like it would give us some answers as to what that whole thing went, because I feel like if Rodgers does end up with the Steelers and he ends up being the OC, then I kind of feel like if it really was about that he didn't want to deal with Rodgers, then he resigns. Then you leave the Steelers.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he's ever going to do, because I don't think it was ever really about that he didn't want to deal with Rodgers. I think it was about that he didn't want to deal with a mess, like, because that just was never a legitimate role. Like, he was if you're not going to be the OC, what are you even offering me?
Yeah. I'm just glad that this is not my problem anymore. This is exactly what I was saying when we had our whole discussion about Aaron Rodgers and all this stuff. That's exactly what I was talking about, Cheeks. And they're here. There you have it.
Right.
It's exhausting.
I think it'll be interesting. I would like to see the Giants thing play out, just because it's funny, because I feel like you on the low really don't want Rodgers. Because to say that you want him to have a structured offense that is not him freelancing, the Giants is where he's getting that, not with the Steelers. I know you're trying to make this thing that is going to be because Tomlin and he has respect, but he's not an offensive guy. The place where he's going to freelance is the Steelers, because he don't got to deal with Tomlin. He got to deal with Arthur Smith.
Right.
If he goes to the Giants, I feel like there's a better chance that Brian Daboll can tell him, this is what we running.
Right.
This is my offense.
Right.
Maybe we can come to an agreement as to, you can put some of your things that you like to do in there, but I'm going to have input because this is what I do.
Yeah, and that's what you opened my mind to last time when we had a conversation. Like, okay, and you kind of softened me up with that idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, I didn't look at it like that, like where he's going to off, because like I said, like going to the Steelers and being the offensive coordinator, basically, you know what I mean? Like that's not where he needs to be, bro. So in that scenario where that's what Tomlin is looking for, and that's what the organization is looking for, then yeah, that it's Minnesota then Giants. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I would want for them.
I feel
but
like
Minnesota
it's,
just clean. Yeah,
no,
my
go
fault.
ahead.
No, but we just spoke about how Minnesota
already
just
said that they're out, but they said they're out.
But they did it.
Now.
Yeah, they left it on the fence. So
we're out for now.
Yeah, for now.
I still think the best thing at the end of the day for him is to not sign with the Giants or the Steelers or the Vikings and just wait. No, not retire. Wait, because if the Vikings start out the season and JJ McCarthy is 0-5 and he's stinking up the joint, and their backup is God knows who, Ryan Tannehill or something. Yo, Rodgers, remember what we said back in March? Nah, we were just playing, bro. Come through.
And then he comes in,
shits it all up.
With all his like bravado and all that.
Yeah,
and probably ends up and probably loses.
We get to have the ESPN shot of him walking into the facility for the first time with a mustache or whatever goofy shit he decides to do. That's what we get to see. Like,
and then the record ends up being like he loses more games than JJ McCarthy did in the first half of the season.
Imagine. But I feel like that's his best bet. I feel like, and I also feel like that'll be a situation where the team, like, I don't know how badly either the Giants or the Steelers really want this nigga. I don't know. I mean, maybe they are both desperate to have him, but it feels kind of like it's like a marriage of circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. How badly do you think Dable is like, yo, I want this nigga Rodgers so bad. How badly do you think he wants to bring in Rodgers?
I think that they're so desperate that Dable is probably like, I think Dable agrees with the getting any kind of quarterback play that's better than what he had last year, and also drafting the quarterback that he can possibly sell or he can coach up, because he still believes in himself as far as a quarterback developer and all that.
Okay.
But if he could
buy time with Rodgers, what percentage of, like, if you had to break it into a pie in terms of the Giants offense is going to be X% Rodgers and what he does, his influence, and X% Dable influence, what would you how do you think that split goes?
I think that's a good question. I think it would still be Dable's primarily, but I think the issue would be when the play is called, will Rodgers do his own thing?
Run it.
Yeah, but
you know who we should ask? The best person to ask would be this nigga LaFleur, because he's the only person who really, I feel like, has dealt with that. Because I feel like Saleh didn't deal with that, because as soon as Saleh came and the way that whole shit went down, you knew right away it was gonna be Rodgers was gonna have his say, and rightfully so. I still don't think that they were wrong for doing that. I think maybe it went a little far. But when you have a coach who's, Saleh didn't have an offense, then they did not have an offensive coordinator of repute at the time.
Exactly.
So I didn't blame them for that. LaFleur came in a little bit of a different situation, because they hired him for his offensive acumen. You know what I'm saying? And then it felt like there was like a little bit of a power struggle at first between him and Rodgers, and but that's what I'm saying. It would be good to ask him, because I don't know eventually what they landed on. Was it still mostly Rodgers and LaFleur was just like, do your thing?
Right.
and I'm gonna make little tweaks here and there, or was it more of a give and take? I don't think we ever really got an answer to how much of that. I mean, people want to give Nate Hackett the credit for being the OC, which I don't think he. I think he had 0% of the fucking. I think he's just a fucking cheerleader, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think he's. I shouldn't say cheerleader. I don't think he's a cheerleader, but I think he's more of a motivator than like a X's and O's scheming type of dude. I think that we're not going to call it the red zone. We're going to call it the gold zone. And he had all these psychological, and I think that's why Rodgers fucks with him, because I think Rodgers felt like he really got the guys mentally prepared to execute, and Rodgers felt like he could do it. And I feel like when he was in his prime, he did, obviously. But I don't think that Nate Hackett is some schemer. He's not Sean McVay, like somebody who we know, tit for tat can go at anybody. I don't think he has an offense.
And
like
I think that's what Dable seems like he has, right?
Whoa.
No.
To have an offense and have a scheme. Well, I don't know,
and
because I keep
things.
Yes, well, but see, that's the thing, that's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing that Dable is this quarterback whisperer, and he has all this innovation. Like, that's why he's here, and he's gonna we're eventually going to see a flourishing offense that Brian Dable has cooked up in his mind. It's gonna translate to the field at some point. I just have not seen it.
Right. Exactly.
Like, even in the year when they did have success, the offense was not really a big part of that.
Yeah, especially in the red zone. Now, do you think, is that something, like, for example, do you think, like, if Joe Shane goes up and it says, okay, this is why we want you from the jump, Shane and Dable, since they're that duo, they sit down with Rodgers and they're like, listen, do you think that they do that, where they say, listen, this is the offense, we think you work good in this offense, and this is what we plan on doing with you in the offense? Or do you think that they're more like, hey, just come aboard, we'll work on the offense, we'll do 50, we'll come in together and we'll do the offense? Or do you think that they just, like I said from the beginning, like, this is my offense, I think you could do good. You could do well in this offense. What do you think?
Are you asking me or Flex?
Yeah, Flex, both of you.
Well, my question first would be, I don't even know. Do we know? Has there been an official report of a meeting between Giants front office, Dable and Shane, and Rodgers? Have we been notified that there was an official meeting, that they have met at any point and discussed this at any point, or is it just reports we hear that the Giants are looking to sign Rodgers? Because I haven't heard anything. The reason why I asked is because to answer your question, I want to make sure that there hasn't not been an official on the record meeting, because if not, then that's the question. You're asking the perfect question, and I don't really know what that. And I feel like that meeting could change depending on when it happens and what the desperation level is. Because if we're talking, like, right now, I think right now, if they came out with a report tomorrow morning, Giants met with Rodgers last night. They had a meeting and it was a productive meeting, whatever. He was still waiting on a decision, but they had a productive meeting, whatever. If that was to happen now, I think it would be a little bit more of a give and take. I think it would be Dable presenting, this is our plan, this is how we plan to use you. What are your thoughts? We're really excited to have you here, whatever. I think if we fast forward, the draft has taken place, the Giants got a second round quarterback, and they still haven't signed necessarily a veteran. And Rodgers still hasn't signed anywhere. They're still sort of having this back and forth of Rodgers. I think the closer we get to the season, it's going to be, listen, come here and do your thing.
Right.
That would be the best.
And it's going to fall, and it's going to fall, Flex, and I want you to answer too. And it's going to fall, like, the longer they wait, I feel like their chips are going to be smaller. Like, they're not going to be able to sit there and be like, hey, this is my offense now because like yo,
That's
we're so
that's
desperate.
exactly what I'm saying. I feel like
Yeah.
the longer it
Exactly,
goes,
I
the
agree.
more desperate they are.
Right.
Like the more sort of leverage Rodgers feels
Right.
he has,
I agree.
the
Yeah.
more they have to kind of bend to what he wants to do and make
Exactly.
it seem like a real, I feel like it'll be interesting because if he hasn't signed by the draft and they draft Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, it doesn't mean they can't sign Rodgers. But as far as the question you're asking, they can say to Rodgers, "This is what
This is
we
the
want
guy.
you to do."
Right.
But they already have a guy who they can
Exactly.
start at quarterback, and nobody's gonna ask questions.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because I think that this kind of like goes back to like the Viking situation. It's like, yeah, the Vikings would like to maybe, but they don't have to do anything. Like they can roll with the guy that they were supposed to roll with last year already.
Mm-hmm.
And they already had two quarterbacks that were on the roster that signed somewhere else. It's like,
And
yo,
not and just to support the point that you're making, I think also they have quarterbacks that have proven to have success. So if we're talking about this hypothetical question of is Rodgers going to run his offense or their offense, Kevin O'Connell can say, "Listen, my nigga, we just did this shit with you're going to do what I say."
just
if you
plug and
come here."
play.
Exactly, because we have a quarterback here already, and I already shown that my shit works with Sam Darnold. It works with Kirk Cousins. Do you want to be a part of this? Yes or no? They can approach it that way. To your point, they're in a much more they're in a position of much more leverage.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's almost like but that was like my initial point. Like this is all leverage. Like, you know, and Aaron Rodgers is proven has been the king of that. But I don't know, is it going to be a situation where he ends up playing himself? Because the more he waits, there's no games, there's no training camp, there's none of that stuff is going on. So unless he pretends on like waiting and cutting it real close to the end, it's like and see if something happens where like now the ball is in his court again. He doesn't have many options, and it's almost like the Vikings did oh, you think you're gonna use us? Nope. We're gonna pull our hat out of the ring. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not gonna use us to be like, yo, I can go over there, and they already said that, they're gonna let me do this and this and that.
Right.
And this is a team that that won 14 games. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like I feel like because and also this goes back to like what you were saying with the official meeting. I think the initial thing was like he had reached out to the Giants at some point or his people or whatever. It's almost like this is the thing, like he's such a sneaky ass nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, like he's like the king of plausible deniability, where it's like
God,
he's always finding out and he's always putting his name here and he's always interested and he might be doing this. Like he creates like a whirlwind of like with the dude back in the day, like the Japanese dude that he would like blow the smoke in your face, like in professional wrestling. Yeah, I forget what his name was, but he'll blow the smoke.
No.
No, it was like the Great Muta or something like that. But he blows smoke in the air, and then he does all of this stuff,
Right.
and then you know Robert Saleh ends up on his back with no job, and it's like, how did that happen? You know what I'm saying? And this nigga's like, and he's like the nigga, like if you put it in slow motion, this nigga like he did some shit and karate chopped him in the back of the neck. But you couldn't see it because all the smoke was there, right? So he can see, what are you talking about? I had nothing to do with that. You saw where I was the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's the king of like creating like a fucking like a tumbleweed, like like in the cartoons where like the cats are fighting with the dogs and all that shit over there.
And he sneaks out.
While he sits back like the dude from Inspector Gadget. In his fucking chair, laughing while all that shit goes on, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, my hands are clean. I had nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, enough of him already.
Yeah. He snuck out. You know how sometimes when that smoke comes on, they're fighting. One of the characters sneaks out, and the guy's fighting
and he's
himself.
fighting himself. Yeah,
Yeah.
For real.
Like
Yo,
the referee, like
yeah.
he snuck up. He snuck in the bottom, like the under the rope. Hit the nigga with the chair, then snuck out on the other side, and like the
While that
referee
shit is
turns
going
around.
Right. While that shit is going on, he sneaks out,
Yeah.
and he's like, yo, real talk though, that shit visually, like if you know how they do, they take the story and then they do the cartoon with it. Yo, I saw that whole shit in cartoon form. That shit had me dying. That shit was funny, bro. And then Salah, you see Salah on his back. That was funny, bro.
Yeah, and he's got the fucking the stars
Yeah,
with the little
right,
birdies going around his head.
Yo, for real.
right. Crazy funny.
And that was
crazy
why
visual.
I asked, how bad do you feel like these guys really want Rodgers? Because I feel like that's part of it too. I feel like part of it is why like he's dipping back,
Yeah.
and he's manufacturing leverage just by waiting and letting people talk about the Vikings, letting people speculate.
Right.
And that, I feel like that's a part of the whole, part of the whole deal.
Shit,
And
yeah.
that's why it wouldn't surprise me if he just sits back, because there will be no leverage. Like you say, is he gonna end up playing himself? And I think he very well may, unless there's a major injury, and then all of a sudden he has all the leverage.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But that would
Like,
be but does he? If you're Aaron Rodgers, do you want to go in a situation where you're getting picked up after a couple of weeks in the season already? Like that's not helping you.
Yeah, but
that's not gonna help you win.
That's the thing. I feel like you consistently, and I love you for this.
Right.
But I feel like you consistently look at it as Rodgers is looking at this from a football standpoint.
Right.
I don't think he is.
I'm innocent to it. I'm innocent.
Yeah,
I'm
feel
almost
like
innocent
looking
to
at
it.
it like I feel like that's like.
I'm just hoping for the best version of it.
I just said he's the king of plausible deniability.
Right.
He would love that situation where he can come in and be like,
that's
"Oh,
how exactly." That's how
he came in and he tried to do his best, and at the end of the season, he'd be like, I came in and I tried to do the best, but I didn't have much time to get my feet under me, and by the time I got he'll win the last 3 games of the season in a row when they needed to get 4, and he'll win 2 or 3 and be like, yeah, we almost pulled it out at the end. And if I had gotten, if I was here earlier and got my feet under me, but in the situation I was put in, it kind of made it difficult to kind of get in, and all this shit.
Right. That's 100% how I see it. Like I agree with you that if we were just talking about a guy who is looking to find the best spot to have the best chance to play good football and win football games.
Right.
The decision would have been made already long time ago. He would have made a decision where he's gonna go, and whether it was gonna be the fucking Titans, the Colts, the Giants, the Steelers, whatever it was gonna be, he'd have been there and he'd have been working towards, getting towards next season. Whether it's getting a rapport with the receivers or whatever it was gonna be, but I just don't feel like that's his priority. I feel like. That would be great for him to win football, but I feel like he could have that and have a best chance to win, or he could sit back and have the whole situation with somebody gets hurt, he's the hero, he has like you said, the plausible deniability, it's a big story, everything. Like I feel like if he got to pick one, everything I see about the guy and the way he goes about doing his business, he wants to be the circus. He wants to be in the headlines, people following the plane. When is the plane landing that he's going to wind up in Minnesota or Detroit or wherever he's coming to save the day, with the built-in excuse of, I didn't get here early enough. They should have,
Right. And the way you make, and the way when y'all put it like that, it does seem like that, but through his actions, right? It does seem that way. And it also makes me think, is that Minnesota statement, is that a way of saying like we could be interested if you
Minnesota has been through this before,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like they already know the game plan. They were like, yo, we're not doing this.
Right.
They already know what the steps
but
are.
like you even said it, they left it open. So could this be a statement saying like, for like we would be interested if
They're
like hurry
separating
up, like
themselves
right.
from the other two.
Mm-hmm.
They're part of the 30 now.
Right.
You know, they're one of the other teams. We got our quarter. We know what our quarterback situation is.
So they're
Yeah,
out of
Something
so
unforeseen.
You took that
but the-
statement as
but the
he's out on Rodgers. They're out on Rodgers. You took that
No,
way
but
too?
I feel what you're saying, dude, too, though. Just because
Who?
of the,
Let's
well, what I'm about to say right now is I'm agreeing with where I think you're going in terms of the wording of the statement and leaving that little bit of an out, because, like I said, I think they're trying to do both. I think they're trying to do both of what I think they're trying to do. What you're saying, Flex, which is, don't keep us in this. We're not involved. But if they were really trying to do that, they would have been more emphatic in the statement. They would have made the statement a while ago, because this has already been kicking around in the news for 2-3 weeks now. And I think they wanted to make the statement to take a step back from all the noise. But the way that the statement was worded and just the timing of the statement, to me, I feel like they did sort of leave the door open, and almost it could be. And again, we're all just fucking speculating. We don't know what they're saying anyway. But I think that you could make a case that they're also leaving the door open, and also maybe sending a message to Rodgers like, yo, we're not gonna disrespect you. We're not gonna put out a statement that says we not want nothing to do with you. We have more respect for you than that, and we don't want nothing to do with you. We're not saying it's not a total possibility, but it's gonna be on our terms. We're gonna control this shit.
Right. And it's up to Rodgers to say, does he want to go into that situation, or does he want to continue being what trying to go to a place that's more desperate, that's gonna allow him to be.
Yeah,
that's the thing, is that we don't know what these conversations have, but we don't know if because like I remember when I was listening to Diana Rossini and this guy I don't
Chubby
know why,
Chase.
Chase
Daniels.
Chase Daniels. I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Case Keenan.
Chase Keenan.
Daniels.
Yeah.
Chase Daniels. I think they were talking, and they were saying that there might be I forget what the relationship was. That there's some type of connection between the coach and Rodgers. So I don't know if they've had talks at all, or if this is all just conversations taking place, third party through the media and sending, messages through statements like that, or if there has been some type of behind the scenes conversation where he's like, talking to the coaches. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
But yeah,
tricky.
It's a tricky situation.
And real quick, and it's just back to that, like that whole situation with me as looking at Rodgers as like just doing the football thing, is also because it seems like and I'll leave it at this, and I'll let you guys both answer this. Do you think he doesn't care the way the season ends or his career ends at all? Like, do you think that he would sacrifice all of that just to be the man in the situation? Obviously, I think they're both say yes.
I don't think he takes any responsibility for wins or losses. So when you say, I think he cares very much about how it ends for him, but not in terms of wins and losses.
Gotcha.
Not in terms of like winning on the field. I don't think that is the priority. I think he cares about how his story, his NFL story and career, how the story is told, and how it ends. But I don't think the priority is I need to end with winning. That's I think where you and I separate.
Right. Flex?
Yeah, because I almost think it's like I think I said this last week, where it's like with the Vikings, if he doesn't, it's like, oh, he couldn't do better than Sam Darnold if he doesn't put up the numbers, if he doesn't win the same amount of games, if he doesn't take them to the playoffs. It's like, oh, he went out on a team that with Sam Darnold went to the playoffs, won 14 games, and he couldn't do as good as like the team got better, honestly. Like if you see the moves that they've made, and he couldn't even do what he did. It's
Right.
like if he goes to the other two teams, like there's more upside where he could be like, oh, okay, I did better for those two teams, as opposed to with the Vikings. It's
Right.
like if he doesn't like win a playoff game, then he failed there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think
Yeah.
that there's more upside, and I don't
Right.
necessarily think that he cares about winning as much as he cares about the illusion of like
That he's
he
right.
made the team better.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
He wants
his
the
own
illusion of him being
mystique.
right.
Yeah,
Gotcha. And that's where we differentiate. Where I hope. Well, I'm not differentiate because I don't want to say that disagree more of what y'all say. Was more like I'm almost hoping that he wants to leave with a good, record or whatever, or like he wants to go out trying to fight for a chip or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
and he'll make
I
the
feel
right
what you're
choice.
saying. I just feel like if that were the case, to me the decision is
He
this would
exactly,
be done. It would be
and
like,
that's why I
and not
agree
to
with
be
you.
fucked up,
Yep.
but the Giants would not even be in the discussion.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Like if that were the
Right.
case, if it was like, what's the best situation for me to
Right.
go out with a chip on top?
Right.
To me,
He would have showed the respect of making the decision already. And you're right. The Giants wouldn't be in there because he's not.
because I like even so, it's like
I agree with that.
if you're trying to set up your best possible way to like go out on top, it's to your advantage to sign early,
Hmm.
get to the facility, see what's going on,
Hmm.
get your feet under you early as possible. Go out and start meeting with the wide receivers on the team, with the offensive linemen, and build a rapport as early as
Right.
possible because you can do this
That's
now.
more important.
You
Yeah,
know what
that's
I'm
more
saying?
important. That would be more important to you. Yeah.
Bond with the team. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Do all this stuff now.
Hmm.
He's not doing any of this.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I agree with his actions say that. That's probably
Yeah.
what he's trying to do.
yeah, I also just think that he's about relationships. He's about like he could have had I mean, it never really materialized, but there was for years there was the discussion about is he going to go to be with the 49ers. And I think if he really wanted to be the 49ers quarterback, he could have made that happen and he would have never been a Jet.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe.
there were opportunities and there was discussion about that even before his last year as a Packer. They were
Right.
talking about him possibly going to the 49ers. And he didn't want to go. He didn't want to be a 49er.
Right.
And that was when the 49ers were very clearly a championship contender.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
And I just feel
Yeah.
like at
Possibly.
no point has it really come across that ultimately winning championships was the guy's priority. And I feel bad because I'm not trying to say that as like to say that he's not competitive, he doesn't want to win. It's more complicated than that. I just don't think I think that that's not what's most important to him. Like I don't think
Yeah.
that he came to the Jets and didn't want to win. I think he wanted to win and I think he expected to win. I don't think he realized how washed he was, but I think
Right.
I think he wanted to win, but I think he thought I can do shit my way and have all the freedoms and all the power, all the control that is ultimately most important to me and win.
Right.
Mhm.
And I feel like he looks at it like he got what he wanted. He didn't win, but that's why I don't feel like he views like the Jets thing as like he made the wrong choice or it was a bad experience. I feel like he would have liked to have won. But even when you hear him talk about it, he just, it's been so great. The people in the cafeteria, all this bullshit that he talks about, how wonderful it was. And I remember the headline after the final game of the season. He said that like this was the best year of my career, or some shit like that. He says he has some quote where he was like, "This is the best experience of my life," or some shit like that. And then the headline the next day was like, everybody in New York was saying, "How the fuck could you say that? This was a disaster." But I don't think he looks at it that way, because I don't think the priority was, I need to win a championship. I think that he views it as he got the relationships. You heard, I got to play catch with Salah's son, and that's where he's at right now in his career. And I feel like that stuff ultimately, and I'm not even necessarily saying that he's wrong for that, because at the end of the day, that's the stuff you can control. You can't ultimately control winning. And maybe if you're the type of dude that you're a control freak, you rather just put yourself in a situation where, okay, maybe I win, but I can control all of these other aspects of what my experience is going to be like, and I'm going to prioritize what I can control, because maybe I could go to the Steelers and I'll have no control and I might be miserable. I may have a better chance to win, but that's not my priority. I'm not even knocking him for that. But I'm just saying, it's been clear to me that I'm not going to look at this dude and assume he's making decisions prioritizing best chance to win, because that's not been his MO for the last however many years.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But hopefully he's a Giant and we get to keep this going.
I see what happens.
Keep the experience going. I don't even know. I'm at the point now where I have no idea what to guess.
It's getting there.
I think it's gonna get. I guess the last question I'll ask is, who do you think? Because now it just seems like a game of chicken, and it's gonna be. It's like a three-way chicken. Who's gonna blink first? Is it gonna be the Giants, that they're gonna say, "All right, this motherfucker's taking too long.
Right.
We're going to." Because I feel like it was a four-way game of chicken, kind of, and the Vikings were like, all right, we're going to take a step back. Are the Giants going to come out with a statement, whether an actual statement publicly, or will the statement be breaking news, Russell Wilson 2-year deal to the Giants? Or will that be, like, who's going to be the first person to make the next move? Because I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't even have a guess.
Me neither. It's tough, and if I have to, gun to my head, I have to choose. I feel like the Giants. It's tough because I feel like the Giants have the cop out of trying to go get that number one. They're in position where if it doesn't like if what they hear from Rodgers or they don't hear from Rodgers doesn't sound right, it sounds like they could fall on the Russell and the draft. Feel me? Where the Steelers,
I think more so the draft, because I don't think, because I think that the Steelers could be like, all right, Russ, we're gonna sign, we're gonna sign Russ, and we'll be, because they don't have the option really of drafting. It's more complicated. I mean, obviously they could trade, but I think it's more complicated for them.
Well, because if the Giants draft the quarterback. If the Giants draft a quarterback and let's say the Steelers sign Russell or whatever, then he has nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Giants.
Yeah, but I mean,
I agree with you. I agree, because that's what I agree with you in that I feel like the Giants. That's kind of what I was trying to say. Like, I feel like the Steelers, they don't have, like, the Giants could set a deadline of the draft. They could wait until the draft, and they could draft a quarterback, and then they have their quarterback. They could still sign Rodgers, but they're not in the same they're not involved in the game of chicken anymore. Like, they're not sitting there without a chair to sit in. Whereas the Steelers, if Russell Wilson signs with the Giants tomorrow, where are they going? They're not drafting a quarterback. What are they doing? Are they going to trade for Kirk Cousins? Then at that point, then Aaron Rodgers becomes their only option.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where Rodgers is playing with fire, though. And so maybe he'll be coming out soon with that info.
Now you say playing, because what you say playing with fire in terms of not having a landing spot?
Yeah, or not having options for a landing spot. Feel me? Like, it might get to the point where it is only the Steelers, or it is only the Giants. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like those are his only options now. No?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Minnesota leaving the window open, but it does seem that way. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
Titans,
feel like,
you think the Titans will jump in that mix now, right? I think we're out of that already. The Titans have been doing well keeping information, I think, this so far. But like, if they draft Abdul Carter or Hunter, and then it's like, yo, fuck it, look, Rodgers still wants to play. It fell to us. Let's offer him a
Yeah, I
place
guess
to play.
with the Titans, the only thing is I can say is I have no idea what Callahan would do, because they seemingly could be looked at as exactly like the Giants. Like, they're always an option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as they would be interested and they would want them.
Yeah.
If they don't want them, then they're not an option. But if they want them, they could draft a quarterback. They could not draft a quarterback. It doesn't matter really what they do, because they are in no way that, like, they're a team with no expectations. Like, at least with the Giants, we know that they have a head coach and GM combination that are under a mandate to win.
Right.
They don't have the luxury of no expectations like the Titans do. The Titans could run it back with Will Levis, and no one's even gonna give a fuck.
Exactly. 1,000%.
Like that, no one is even gonna. They could not draft a quarterback, not sign another quarterback, and no one would even think like, oh, what are they doing? They gotta sign Rodgers.
Yeah.
If the Giants are not exactly in that same situation. If they don't draft a quarterback and they don't sign Russell Wilson, people are gonna be like, yo, what's good? Like, who's their quarterback gonna be? They gotta sign Rodgers.
40 niggas asking the same question.
Yeah.
Right. But it feels like the Titans and the Giants, to I guess answer the question, like, it seems like the Giants and the Titans have an out if they really want to have an out, where the Steelers almost.
But the thing is, they can't do it till then.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
they can't. They don't, like, the ball isn't in their court yet.
Yeah.
Because
it's also weird. Go ahead.
No, the ball isn't in their court yet, but it can be if they say fuck it, we're out on Rodgers. But
yeah, if they put that deadline.
Yeah, but if they have one within closed doors or whatever, right? Where the Steelers, it almost feels like they we're not. Are you gonna go with Rudolph? No, bro. Like, regardless of what came out of that, no, they're not cool with that. And then Russell might not.
I don't know,
Russell
man.
might.
I think.
But if
I
it's,
think you're
I
underestimating.
I might be, but I might.
I
be.
would not be shocked if the Steelers, if Week 1 Mason Rudolph is the Steelers starting quarterback.
I wouldn't be like
shocked.
super shocked, but I'll be like, what are we doing?
And he's still gonna win 9 games.
I agree, but I would not be shocked.
And then Mike Tomlin can look like a freaking hero
again, but he's not here.
He won 9 games with, and Russell might as well be a Super Bowl.
And it seems like Russell's saying "fuck yeah," right?
That's the other thing. I don't know what Russell's saying.
Where's he gonna go?
Yeah, I don't know what his.
He might have to have an option of going back with the Steelers, and the Steelers like, well, we tried to get Rodgers, we couldn't get Rodgers. Look, bro, we worked together before. You know, I'm sorry that we were waiting on Rodgers, but look, you want to play still? Or my doors are still open.
And now, do we even know what the relationship is with him and DK? Did that increase or decrease the likelihood that he goes?
I think that increased.
Great question. That's a great fucking question.
Yeah.
Because he might not fuck with DK at all. And when they made that trade, they might have been like, oh, yo, Giants, let's go. I don't want to go back to that spot.
Right.
We don't know.
True. Yeah.
Right.
And the last question I'll ask, because Rodgers has only really been talked about with the Steelers, Giants, and Vikings, right? And we just said nobody's really bringing up the Titans as an option. I haven't heard anybody say anything about the Browns. And I feel like the only reason we've gotten the Steelers and the Giants, I feel like the only reason we got the Steelers is because there was a report that they were interested.
Right.
And going back to what you said about the Giants, are the Giants only involved in this conversation for 2 reasons? Because he lives here because he was with the Jets and he reached out to them? Is that the only reason that the Giants even were in the conversation?
And because they're desperate.
And because they're desperate. And because Joe Shane said
all that, was a perfect. It was a, like a perfect storm.
Yeah. Who's in quarterback who's in the quarterback market, and doesn't make sense. Speculation, boom. Giants, Steelers.
Yeah, I'm starting to get tired of this though. I'm at the point now where like to me, unless something happens, there's no news that's gonna move me either way. Like that, like even when the Vikings said that they were out, to me that wasn't even news. Like it was interesting just because the wording of the statement was so quirky and it was just such a like why would they come out with that statement?
Right.
Like
that's the key
in that way. But to me, I'm just kind of like there's so many. Where's Russ gonna go? Where's Rodgers gonna go? Where's Cousins gonna be? Like he's the guy who nobody really has talked about in terms of an option, I guess, because they feel like he can't really make a difference. He's not a difference maker, and he's not technically available because he's not a free agent, and they said they're not gonna release him. But I feel like I've been hearing a lot about this potential Cousins to the Browns, which makes a lot of sense, I guess, but to me, I'm at the point where I'm like, until these moves are made, to me, we've already squeezed all the juice out of this that we can at this point. Like we've talked about this from every angle.
Right.
We've already
the main reason is in my life is because of the draft. You know what I mean? Like I kind of want to lean to what we're gonna do, or I kind of want to know what we're gonna do, right? That's like the only reason is bringing that back up to me.
So you want them to make the decision so you can have an idea, yes or no, whether they're gonna because to me, I feel like if tomorrow morning is Rodgers signs with the Giants,
they still getting the first.
How does that impact the way you view the draft strategy?
Like I said, I think it gives them the option to maybe go for the
second round.
Second round quarterback, best potential player in the first round.
Yeah. And then if Rodgers stays a free agent or goes with the Steelers, then it changes the sort of
are they going to move up and go get?
They're
going to move up one.
Sense.
Hopefully, they can move up one, and not give up too much. But going up for that first one is going to be.
Yo, Russ must hate this nigga Rodgers. Must hate this nigga.
Must.
He must be sitting there like, yo, fuck this nigga. Man.
Are y'all really cheating on me over this fucking guy?
Y'all making me wait for him.
I can throw the deep ball. Right. I can throw the deep ball pretty good. I
won more games than him. And started at 6 less.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see.
All right, doggy.
We shall see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see where we are this time. I guess this time next week we'll see if there's been any movement. I really don't know what to expect at this point. I feel like now all this is the last piece to fall, and there's really no deadline. So.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway.
All right, doggies.
All right, fellas.
But anyhow, we're gonna sign off.
Stay black, right?
Always. Especially with March